have Dr. Fab Mancini, who is going to speak first. Dr. Fab is America's healthy living expert. He has written many best-selling books, including The Power of Self-Healing and Chicken Soup for the Chiropractic Soul. So he is all over the world speaking, lecturing, teaching people about good, healthy nutrition and also how to live a balanced life. And, this week has been unlike any week that we've seen. I've heard him on many calls, and he helps CEOs of companies, he helps business owners, and the conversation has been very similar all over the world with people. And it's, what do we do? How do we rise up to the occasion? And there's a difference between leadership right now. Some leaders shrink back and others propel forward. And I can tell you, we have two men on the call today who teach people how to stay calm, stay positive, and propel their business forward. And so I'm super excited to announce Dr. Fab Mancini. Fab, are you where you can?
Yes.
I will mute my line.
Thank you, Karen, so much. And thank you, everyone. And I want you to know that we feel very honored that you're taking time to be able to join us. Like Karen said, this is a very interesting time. It's an interesting time because we know that the world is in crisis, and we know that we have been impacted both professionally and personally in many ways. And the interesting thing that Karen and I recently went to see a movie called The Invisible Man. And we were the only ones in the theater. It was at the beginning of last week. And that was right before they made the announcement that they were closing all the movie theaters. And in this movie, the main actor is fighting a husband that she can't see. And that's one of the things that we're dealing with right now, where there is a lot of sensitivity when it comes to this thing that we have that is invisible, but all of us are impacted by it. And how do you do that? But then I started understanding that, in life, we've always been hit with things that have come out of nowhere. And there's one constant that I have found, and that is that we cannot perhaps control the circumstances that we're facing, but we can always control how we respond to it. So what I wanted to do with this call is to really bring a dear friend of mine, Mark McKnight, so him and I can have a conversation about what is possible during this time. But primarily what we wanted to address is healthy nutrition during this time of stress and also this time of confinement. Those are two very important, distinct issues. We have a lot of stress in the world, and we already know that stress impacts our health. At a time that we need to be having our defenses up, at a time that we need to have our bodies working the best that it can, right? We seem to be the most stressed, and therefore that lowers our immune responses, that lowers our ability to function properly, and that allows us and makes us susceptible to be sick. But then we also have another issue, and that's confinement. And the confinement issue has a lot of other dimensions, but I think between Mark and I, we can have some great conversation that will hopefully allow all of us to understand that there are some simple solutions that we're going to share with you, that may be solutions that you may want to consider, that may be solutions that would allow you to be able to be more equipped to handle this invisible enemy that we're all dealing with. So at this time, I want to invite Mark McKnight. Hi, Mark. How are you today?
Hi, Dr. Fab. Thanks to you. Thanks to Karen for inviting me on your Zoom today.
Well, Mark, it's so interesting because you and I have been talking through this whole process, and you've been a great mentor of mine over the last few years. I have been a big fan of yours, primarily because you have helped millions of people with nutrition and understand the value of healthy ingredients that produce healthy results. And that to me has been a big contribution that you have left, and also a legacy for the last 25 years of your life. And at a time like this, Mark, I wanted to kind of talk to you and just have a conversation about what is happening out there, because what I see from my perspective is that we have been going to the grocery store almost every day to find empty shelves in the hopes that people will restock. And we've noticed like Whole Foods yesterday, for the first time after a week, actually has some fresh fruits and some things that we were able to purchase. But the reality is the fact that most people right now do not have enough nourishment in their house, especially when some of us have been restrained to be able to be home at this time. Now, of course, we have another factor that is not just us, but our children, because as you know, schools have closed. I have a child, in college, and his school closed, so he came home. And I have a child just graduated from graduate school that just started his job, and the company closed for 2 weeks in Los Angeles due to this issue. So he came home. So now we have a house full of individuals and children. So it's not just us, but it's our children. And but Mark, what are some of your insights about during this time, and where perhaps people are buying products out there that are going to sit in the shelf, right? Because we don't know whether we're going to be confined for a day, a week, 2 weeks. And as some experts have been telling us lately, that this could actually take a month or 2 months. And we know that in the things that we put in our shelves that are preserved usually are the ones that have the least amount of nutrients. So we have that issue. We may have food in our house, but do we have enough nutrients for our bodies? And then the second thing is that do we have enough food to actually support the needs that our body will have in order to support our bodies to be the healthiest that we can be during this difficult time that we're facing, especially with a virus that we're still trying to make sense of why this virus has been so detrimental to so many. So Mark, what are some of the things of insights that you have seen, and maybe some practical tips of what do you feel is important right now? And maybe we can talk a little bit about some solutions that you have created where thousands of people now are beginning to recognize and have the ability to have healthy bodies during this difficult time of stress.
Well, thanks again, Fab. It is always great to talk with you, and I love listening to you more than I love speaking myself. But I just want to tell everybody, it doesn't matter what country you're in. Everybody in the world is together on this pandemic crisis, and we have to listen to our public health officials. We have to wash our hands, avoid touching our face, practice social distancing. This is a highly contagious virus like nobody has ever seen. And at first, I was kind of a coronavirus denier in the sense that, what's the big deal? But then when I start to look at more in depth about how this virus taxes our healthcare systems, that's the big deal. That's the big deal. And it's not so much that, yeah, a lot more people die of the flu every year than the coronavirus. But there seems to be something with this illness and the way it taxes our healthcare system, our healthcare professionals. So my family is, first and foremost, we are grateful for our healthcare professionals, the doctors, the nurses, the first responders, the people that are taking care of the children for the doctors and nurses. These are wonderful, wonderful people. They should be in your thoughts. They should be in your prayers, because they are right now carrying the backbone of our healthcare infrastructure. But practice the things that the public health officials have told us. Wash your hands, avoid touching your face, social distance. And our prayers and thoughts go out to the places in the world that have already begun to stay at home. And now the great state of California is part of that too. And so remember, we are all in this together. I did a post about a week ago that said, think positive, Be positive, because now more than ever, the world needs positivity. It is a massive amount of stress on our psyche and on our body to go through what we are all going through. And so we have to think positive. We have to be positive. Read something good. Read Dr. Fab's books. He's written a lot of them, and they are very positive. Now more than ever, we need to feed ourselves positive things. And that is true nutritionally. You know, I want to talk, Fab, about this product right here called TAKA. When we launched Globallee, I know an awful lot about healthy drinks, liquid nutrition. I have been in the liquid nutrition and healthy drink manufacturing business for 25 years. I know an awful lot about what works for people around the world, what helps them feel better, what can be a positive boost to their immune system. And so when we first launched this company, I decided that the first product needed to be a drink. Why? Because if people can drink something healthy, it's going to help them feel better. More than 1 billion people every single day spend money on some sort of a beverage that gives them health, gives them energy, boosts their immune system, gives them adaptogens, gives them vitality. There's so many different things that people reach for at a store shelf or at the supermarket. And what I did is I put the best ingredients that I've worked with for 25 years into one simple drink. This is my second TAKA of the day. My first TAKA was hibiscus. My second is blueberry lemonade. I drink TAKA all day, every day. Why? Because it makes me feel better. So we have ingredients in TAKA that are really, really good for your body. And when you have a healthy body or a more healthy body, you just feel better. And I'm telling you that with the stress that is in the world today, you need good nutrition going into your body. Vitamins, minerals, herbs, adaptogens, antioxidants, these aloe vera and fucoidan polysaccharides that are so good for your immune system. You need good nutrition going into your body. And so I would say, listen to your public health officials. Wash your hands, avoid touching your face, isolate as much as possible, social distance. And the other two things I'd add, drink TAKA. Drink TAKA will help you feel better. It helps me feel better. It helps my wife feel better. It helps my kids feel better. Now, you cannot go out and tell people, drink TAKA and you won't catch a virus, because that is not true. The ingredients in TAKA are designed to help strengthen your immune system. That does not mean you are not going to catch something. What we're trying to do with TAKA is put good nutrition into our bodies to help us feel better. And so it's very important. I don't want anybody on this call or message to go out and misrepresent our product or our company, because good nutrition is not about curing something. Good nutrition is about feeling better, feeling healthy, having more energy to do what you need to do. And now when people are feeling confined, TAKA will give you a little bit extra pickup in your steps so you can go for a walk if that's possible. We live in a neighborhood where it's very easy for us to go for a walk. And so we love to get out. Just as our small little socially distanced family, we go for a walk, and our Labradoodle Telly, Savalas, loves going on a walk with us. So that's what I would say. Follow all the healthcare professionals, drink TAKA, and do some exercise every day. You're going to feel better. Think positive, be positive. Try and spread positivity with the people around you. Together, we are a world family. We are a Globallee family, and we can get through this together.
Well, thank you, Mark. One of the things that for me is important is to recognize that while we're home, we need to feed our bodies good nutrition. And that's really the whole message of this call, is to make sure, like Mark said, how do we feed good nutrition? Of course, you want to buy a lot of vegetables, as you know, and if you look at our refrigerator, it's full of vegetables. But at the same time, we have certain ingredients that science has really determined that they are healthy for the body. And I wrote about it in my last book. And before I started taking TAKA, I was actually taking almost 40 supplements. So for me, the TAKA is very practical. It's also very financially manageable because I'm not spending money on 40 different products that are separate. Instead, I have the right ingredients and the right dosing to allow my body to function to my best ability. And that supports not only my immune system, but it supports my digestive system. It supports my circulatory system. It supports my heart. It supports my lungs, all of the things that are important. So I want you to know that TAKA is a great option for any of you that right now are thinking, you know, Fab, I just feel very stressed, but I'm not getting enough nutrients in my body. And, you know, we stocked up. Actually, I have right now probably a 3 to 4 month supply of TAKA for not only me, but everyone in my family, because we have a house full of kids and everybody's here with us. But I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about something that Mark said that will lead us into something else. And that is the importance of exercise. I know right now all the gyms are closed and we need to be able to move our bodies. So I encourage you, like we're doing yoga in the living room. We're doing our cardiovascular based on our TV and being able to get a lot of the great YouTube videos or downloadable apps on exercise. But besides the exercise that is combined with the nutrition, we have something called as intermittent fasting. And what's interesting about intermittent fasting is that for the last few, maybe 3 or 4 years, we've been hearing a lot about the keto diet. And then all of a sudden, last year, intermittent fasting surpassed the keto searches on Google because people recognize that sometimes managing a keto diet is not easy. You know, leaving out all the carbs out of your diet is not a sustainable, easy diet to follow. Now, for those of us that have discipline, it's very beneficial. But what about intermittent fasting, where science has told us that it's not a diet per se that tells us what to eat, but it gives us a guidance of when to eat. You know, you can have a window of 16 hours or 18 hours that you fast, and then you can also have, 6 to 8 hours that you actually are able to eat. And of course, in that small window, you want to eat as healthy as possible. And you can even include a keto diet in that window. But what we have found is that that fasting period allows our body to function better, to feel better, like Mark said. So one of the things that I'm recommending all of my patients and friends is to consider fasting during this time. But then recently in January, the New England Journal of Medicine did a study or published a study that was saying the benefits of intermittent fasting, but also was acknowledging a very interesting factor, a problem you may say, and that is that some people were having difficulty fasting for a long period of time, that they were feeling like after 6 hours or 8 hours of fasting, they had to eat something because they were having some kind of minor symptom. So Mark, I want you to maybe talk to us a little bit about when you started understanding this factor and you created TAKA and also a new product called BeneTrim. What was it that you were thinking about helping people intermittent fast? Because I can't think of a better time to intermittent fast than now that we're confined, because that way, the one thing we don't want to do is that as people are home, what is happening? And I'm getting a lot of messages, and Karen can tell you thousands of messages every day. Fab, I feel like I'm overeating. I'm depressed. I am a sugar holic, right? What is it that most people bought in those grocery stores? Mostly the preserved, high refined sugars, and that's not going to be healthy for our bodies. That's going to create some other issues. And then also, we have individuals that are at this time are tending to drink more than usual alcohol. And we already know that alcohol is not going to be a healthy solution for the body during this crisis time. So Mark, tell me a little bit about how can I utilize TAKA and BeneTrim to be able to help me through my fasting period, and what is it that you learn in putting these ingredients together and these formulas together in order to help the thousands of people that are now using these products and having tremendous results in feeling healthier.
Well, thanks, Dr. Fab. You know, one of the reasons that I love working with you is you have such a broad, holistic view of health. And it's like you take into account, you know, your mindset, nutrition, lifestyle. And what I also love about you, Dr. Fab, is you understand the importance of human interaction. And I don't know that I've met a doctor that has as broad an ability to positively impact people. And I just want to thank you for that personally. And when you think about what we did in January for intermittent fasting, it's kind of that approach. It's a holistic approach to health, because diets are hard to stay on. Most people who have success on a diet gain the weight back quickly because they've not really changed anything in their lifestyle. And what we found with two products that we have, TAKA and BeneTrim, is that they are the most effective products in the world at helping people succeed with intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is very healthy. It's not about what you eat, it's about when you eat. By controlling the window when you eat, you're able to do a lot of good things for your body. So most people recommend that you fast for 16 hours in a 24-hour cycle, and then eat for 8 hours in a 24-hour cycle. So that would be, you stop eating at 8 o'clock at night and you start eating at noon. Or you stop eating at 9 o'clock at night, you start eating at 1 o'clock. I found that with TAKA and BeneTrim, during the fasting period, I am absolutely not hungry, and I can go until 2 or 3 o'clock every day without eating. And then I try to fuel my body with really healthy things, lean protein, fruits and vegetables, things like that. But intermittent fasting is not so much about what you eat as it is about when you eat. And like you said, there's been a lot of research on this. The New England Journal of Medicine just published this paper in January that listed a lot of the health benefits. Dr. Matson from Johns Hopkins University has done a lot of this research. And they said the only challenge with intermittent fasting is remaining in a fasted state because people get hungry. And so we have TAKA and BeneTrim. 2 TAKA a day is only 30 calories. That stays well below the 50 calorie from liquids that most people recommend when you're doing intermittent fasting. And 2 BeneTrim capsules during the fasting period absolutely help you. And the other thing that it does, Fab, is it improves your mood. You know, one of the things that's happening to our world is we are all stressed. We have more stress than we have ever experienced before because none of us have been through something like this. Maybe some of our grandparents, if they're still alive and had lived through World War II, knew what this was like. But I was talking to my father, and I said, you know, Dad, you lived through Vietnam. Was Vietnam anything like this? He said, absolutely not. Vietnam was horrible, but it was nothing like this in terms of impacting everybody. And so we've got to recognize we have a lot of stress. How do you combat stress? Good nutrition, exercise, be positive. Try intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting helps you feel good. I want to just read some data about 2 of the ingredients that are in our BeneTrim product. This is the Magnolia officinalis and the philodendron. In a clinical study, these ingredients decreased tension by 13%, depression by 20%, anger by 42%, fatigue by 31%, confusion by 27%, and increased vigor by 18%. This is a clinical study about the profile of mood states, which basically says your mood state largely determines your top performance. So this is a field of science that was largely developed for people that wanted to help athletes. How do you help an athlete perform better? You have to look at their mood state because their mood has such a big impact on their performance. So if we want to improve our mood and decrease some of this stress, we can do it in part by putting good nutrition into our body. And I'm telling you, I practice IF at least 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. And I feel better constantly when I am practicing intermittent fasting than when I am not practicing intermittent fasting. And I think the research that Dr. Mattson has done, I'm just going to read some of the things that he ticks off as benefits of intermittent fasting: improved cognitive function, increased neurotrophic factors, increased stress resistance, very, very positive things, help with energy uptake, help with supporting healthy blood sugar levels. So these are all things that have come about from research on intermittent fasting, and our company Globallee has the 2 best products in the world to support intermittent fasting. And so I would add that to my list of do's during this worldwide crisis. Do intermittent fasting and use TAKA and BeneTrim to help you succeed with intermittent fasting. But Dr. Fab, I just want to thank you for having me on this call. I love working with you. Karen, thank you. And thank you both for the positive leadership. You know, I have seen so many great people step up during this crisis and just start to get more positive. When they say hunker down, I think of it as hunker down with positivity. That's what we're doing. And thank goodness for Facebook and Twitter and other social media venues where we can actually reach out to people and be positive and share positivity while we're socially distancing.
You know,
so thank you, Dr.
so much, Mark. And I don't want you to go because I have one more question for you. But I couldn't agree with you more. And to me, this morning I woke up and I said I wanted to create a new terminology out there that is called social media connectivity. Just because we have to be distant from others physically, right, which is the CDC recommendations, and I'm 100% supporting that at this time until we know for sure more what's going on and how to protect ourselves and our families. It doesn't mean that we have to be disconnected or distant from one another through social media. And that's what we wanted to have that. So I also practice intermittent fasting over the last month and a half, and I've had tremendous benefits. And we actually have a challenge with thousands of people that took up the challenge of doing intermittent fasting, and they're doing amazing as far as the way they feel. Not only the way they look, but the way they feel. But Mark, now that we understand the importance of these products, and I know that people that are on the line are most likely gonna go to the person that invited them and say, I wanna order these products, which I recommend everybody to do. I take these products every day. And as you know me, I've never really gone out there promoting any type of products, especially nutrition. But I want you to know this is what I use. This is what my family use in order to be able to be as healthy as I can. But Mark, there's one more question that I wanted to get your take because I think it's very important to hear from you. And I started this Zoom call with the understanding that right now, many people have been forced to be confined. And during confinement, unfortunately, a lot of times means that our work is disrupted and our financial ability to earn is disrupted. Now, I'm getting thousands of people asking me, what can I do in order to be able to make some extra money from home? And I had a good question for you many months ago in which I said, you know, Mark, you created this company after working for over 25 years with over 100 companies in which you provided some of the most amazing nutritional products the world has seen in the retail space, but also in the network marketing space. But you decided to create this company on a network marketing level because you realized, what I realized also, is that nutrition is really primarily spread by word of mouth rather than by bricks and mortar shops. And when something helps you, you can't help but to share with somebody else. And then, of course, people have made a business of it. And I know at this time with the crisis that we have, home business based, especially the ones that are on a part-time basis, are skyrocketing as far as people wanting to learn more about that. So would you tell me a little bit about why you feel being a part of Globallee as an independent brand ambassador makes sense to some people that are looking for an opportunity to be able to earn a living while they're at home on a part-time basis. It doesn't mean you have to stop whatever you're doing. It just means dedicating a couple of hours a day towards a way of sharing with others these amazing solutions that are nutrition that will help people feel better. And also be able to let us understand what are some of the things that you're seeing since you started this company as to some of the people that have joined the company and have been very successful by creating this home-based business when they're having to be home with their families and their children, etc. Because I think hearing it from your perspective will be very interesting.
Thanks, Dr. Fab. Yeah, so our company, Globallee, is a direct sales company where instead of taking advertising dollars and paying them to advertising agencies or to television advertising or to internet advertising, we take those dollars and we pay them as sales commissions to our independent brand ambassadors. And so that's a little bit of a different model. Most products are sold through retail stores or online, and the biggest part of the price of that product, 40 or 50% goes for advertising. It goes for how are you going to advertise and push that product out into the marketplace. And so we have a little bit of a different model. That is where you find a great product like TAKA and BeneTrim, and you share it with people you know, and we take the money that a company would normally spend on advertising, and we pay it to our independent brand ambassadors who are out there talking about the products. And it's a great way to do it because you enroll people online, so you can do that from your home, and we ship the product directly to the consumer, and they get the product at their house, and you can actually build a business from home. And so, having supplied this industry for so long, it's great to be a part of something myself and to see the success of people. We have tens of thousands of people in the United States and Canada, in Europe, in particularly in England and Switzerland and Germany and Austria. We have thousands of people in the Middle East, in Jordan, in Dubai, in Algeria, and they all have the same idea that you take a great product like TAKA, you share it with people that you know, the people love it like you do, they start to buy it, and then you earn commissions on those product purchases. So it's a very simple business model, and I love it because it empowers people. It empowers individuals. It empowers families. Having been in business for so long, the world does not get kinder to the little person. It gets kinder to the big corporations. And so the little people constantly find themselves squeezed. And I love this industry because it's a way for an average person to set goals, talk to friends, share product, build something that's an actual business, a source of revenue for themselves. And it can be real. I heard a great individual, Nick Sorensen, talk many, many times about winter is coming. You might think you don't need a plan B, but winter always comes. And I just thought of those words earlier this week, thinking that, was Nick spot on. Winter has arrived economically, and we need a plan B. So we want to be a company that can support and strengthen everybody out there who wants additional income and stay-at-home income for themselves and their families.
Thank you, Mark. One of the things that I learned in my interviews with some of the most successful and financially wealthy people that I know is the fact that we want to always create multiple streams of income. And I'm telling you, it's one of the greatest lessons that I learned in my journey, because what happens is sometimes one stream of income gets disrupted. And many of us that have been business owners, that have had companies, we have seen that come and go. In fact, most millionaires at one point have been bankrupt because of that particular thing. But as you get a little wiser in your investments in the future, you begin to realize that it's important to invest time and money into multiple streams of income. So right now, there are people out there, a part of this family in Globallee, that are able to sustain and support their families because they have that part-time income that allows them to pay their bills and be able to do the necessities that we all need. But the thing that I pray for, the thing that I'm most compassionate about, are the individuals that only have one source of income. And when that source of income gets disrupted, then unfortunately panic sets, anxiety sets, depression sets, and then we start worrying. And as you know, emotions change our chemistry. And for years, I've written and talked about and lectured about how we need to maintain our emotional state happy. That's why I want good nutrition. That's why, this BeneTrim, those clinical trials that have shown that it improves our mood are so powerful. But I'm encouraging you right now to not only consider taking these products to support your health, to help you feel better, just like Mark said, and the health of your family. But also, I want you to, this is not a time to let ego get in the way. If you're feeling a little bit stressed financially, which I can tell you, I don't know a single source that is not worried about the future, no matter how much money you may have in a bank or savings account, because these are unprecedented times. But the one thing that I know is that worrying about things is not going to change them. The only thing that changes things is action. So action, empowerment comes from doing something that you have control over. And in this company, you can invest, as low as $500 and be able to start your own business with nutritional products that are not only going to help you and your family, but are going to help support those that you love. And then you can invite them to be a part of it. It's that simple. And the tools are there, the technology is there to make it extremely easy. So if you are thinking that maybe besides just taking the product, you want to look at deeper the opportunity of starting your own home-based business on a part-time basis that gives you some empowerment instead of sitting around worrying that you can do something right now, then I want you to ask the person that invited you to be able to share more information with you, because I'm sure that they would love to support you during this time, just like we are here during this conversation. So, Mark, I just want to say thank you so much for the kind of person that you are, the values that you are, the fact that you continue to inspire so many people out in the world with your message of hope, your message of positivity, but also with your amazing products that are helping thousands and thousands of people keep healthy during these uncertain times. And it's important to follow all the guidelines that you're seeing by the CDC. It's important that you follow some of those preventative measures that you're hearing everybody talk about, from washing your hands to making sure that you're staying away from people physically and others. But I also want to encourage you to consider taking these products to try for yourself. Do intermittent fasting, because I can tell you that of all the things that I've seen in science, I love this concept of fasting to prevent you from overeating, which is one of our biggest challenges, for eating the wrong foods, because when you fast, your body begins to crave healthier foods, but also to be able to support the different systems of the body that really need our support, because they're constantly fighting things out there, especially today with some of these invisible enemies that we can't even see, but it's impacting all of our lives. So thank you, Mark. God bless you for all that you do. And I really want to thank everybody that came to this call. Encourage you to please go to the person that invited you, ask more questions about the products or perhaps the home-based business opportunity. And also to let you know that we're here to support you. We're here to love you. You're not alone. If there's any issues, any challenges, any questions that you may have, please reach out to someone. We're offering ourselves to you because we want you to know that we're here to support you. And we want to tell you that we are praying for you, and that we hope that you're staying healthy, that you're staying safe, and that you're following all the recommendations that you are hearing from our healthcare leaders in order to protect you and your family. So God bless you, and thank you so much for being with us.